Hello again, my friend, and welcome to the fourth hour. Really nice to have you along again this morning. The president's speech last night really is the talk of the nation, and there's reactions going on everywhere. Let's start. I want to share a brief portion of it with you. First of all, you had, I'm going to show this portion of the speech, and then we're going to scan down in this story and some of the reactions to what's going on. And we're talking specifically about that boy with brain cancer survivor. A lot of people who have been touched by that. Apparently, the Democrats, and especially those at MSNBC, were not. So let's run the clip here first, and then we'll come back to it.
Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer.
Now, how you president hasn't even explained what's going on with him yet.
But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him.
Oh, no. Seriously? Oh, man. So I don't know how long this is going to buffer. Okay. Let's get to the reaction. So Democrats who there was criticism on X of the way Democrats were behaving. And so Rick Grinnell said a terminally ill child with brain cancer is given an honorary Secret Service award, and the Democrats refused to stand or clap for the child. Clay Travis saying Democrats refuse to stand for a brain cancer surviving kid. How awful can one party be? Well, pretty awful, as we're going to see here as we roll on. Yeah, there he is showing it. And just cute. So there's a lot of disbelief on the part of a lot of people. Libs of TikTok said Democrats refuse to stand or clap for a little boy fighting cancer. Truly sick people. Miranda Devine. Can't believe the lousy Democrats can't even applaud for a little boy with brain cancer or a Kennedy who wants to make America healthy again. It's pretty crazy. Get a load of the comment here by Meghan McCain. I appreciate this. This is the first time I can remember crying during a State of the Union. Thank you, President Trump. This is so beautiful. Anyone who has been impacted by brain cancer knows how special this is. I would go a lot further than that. Hey, even those of us who have not been impacted by brain cancer understand how special this is. Only soulless people, who would stand up with signs don't understand. It's just absolutely incredible. And Meghan McCain, her father died of brain cancer. So it's just crazy. You look at the reaction from people. And this is the response of many. Trump using a kid who had brain cancer as a prop. He wants to be a cop, so he made him an honorary member of the Secret Service. Again, okay, I understand you got hatred for Trump. Can we set that aside? Apparently, no, we cannot. We cannot set our hatred of Donald Trump aside and just appreciate what he's doing for this young man. So let's take a look at what's going on, the insanity over at MSNBC, because that's like a constant parade of crazy going on at MSNBC. And we've got the actual clip here. So I want to roll a portion of this, not very long. This is just a little over a minute long.
The record, and this is disgusting. The president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who's thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatrics.
Oh, yeah, evil.
He's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer.
Is Jen Psaki in disbelief of what she's hearing? I don't know.
Against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then lived his life.
Oh, man, I can't even stand it. I mean, seriously, MSNBC, So they went on, for the record, and this is disgusting. President made a spectacle out of praising a young man. The kid... everybody who's watching that has got a heart, and they react and they get it and they understand. And here comes MSNBC and the soulless Democrats who carry on like that. That is just absolutely unbelievable to me as you watch these things unfold. And I'm looking at your comments here. Yeah, I think a lot of you, John saying, Melissa, I had tears in my eyes right along with you last night. Yeah, absolutely. How would you not? Katie's going to kill me for telling this story. Katie, when I got up this morning, she was awake when I got up this morning, and she watched the address last night, and she said, first thing she told me, you have got to watch that part of this young guy. And that was, I was seeing top 5 moments. You got a number of media outlets who come up with their top 5 moments of the president's address last night. And that was part of the top 5, I think, everywhere you went, was this young man. It touched everybody's hearts. And Kate, it was one of the first things Katie said to me. And Katie, who is not an overly emotional person, she certainly is not one to shed tears. And she said, she had tears in her eyes over this. How do you not? I mean, you really have to be soulless not to be touched by this. And then you see MSNBC doing what they always do. They're just so motivated by hatred of Trump. And I think it's even deeper than that, to be very candid with you. And I'll touch more on that here in a moment. Okay, here was this is the Alyssa Slotkin, the Democrat response to the president's speech last night. So, and people are pointing out Alyssa Slotkin adds the final Democrat embarrassment of the night by saying this about Donald Trump. And this to me is incredible. In his heart, he doesn't believe America is an exceptional nation. How do you not laugh? I mean, seriously, these are people that are out there. They have no idea. They have no self-awareness. And this is what amazes me all of the time. They absolutely have zero self-awareness. They don't understand how people on Main Street, is how I respond to it. How are folks on Main Street going to react to this? They have no concept of that. And he doesn't believe America is an exceptional nation. What a shameful, soulless showing by a completely broken party. No argument there. Another one. Alyssa Slotkin seriously trying to sell me on the idea that Democrats consider America an exceptional nation, but Donald Trump doesn't. Yeah. And Libby Emmons is a writer You may have read her stuff at Post Millennial. She's a regular columnist at a number of places, someone I respect. And Libby Emmons says, I don't think Alyssa Slotkin has any idea what she's talking about. She actually said with a straight face that Trump is not an American exceptionalist and the Democrats are. Yeah, that to me is just, I mean, are you kidding? How can you, with a straight face, say that and, and expect anybody to believe it? And this is, again, I think you have several things that are going on. You've got folks that are not, they are just not grounded. They are not grounded in anything other than hatred. They're not. It's just, it's hatred. And when you have those kinds of strong negative feelings, you can't think straight. You just can't. You absolutely cannot think straight. And we are seeing that played out over and over and over again. This is unlike anything we've ever seen. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Again, everything is evil. Trump is doing it, therefore it must be evil, and therefore the legacy media, the state media must respond in the way that they do. They have absolutely sold their souls. It's just shocking to watch this over and over again. Now, how are Americans thinking the president did? There's a piece over at PJ Media. This was a poll that, and this story may catch your eye. They were caught on a hot mic before Trump's speech. Maybe that'll catch your eye. There wasn't anything big there. Their microphones were live, and the vice president says, by the way, I think the speech is going to be great, but I don't know how you do this for 90 minutes, he said. And Johnson said, the hardest thing was doing it during Biden when the speech was a stupid campaign speech. Then he noticed the microphone was live, so he immediately reached down and turned it. So I wanted to share that just in case your eyes went there. CBS poll, Trump's speech hit sky high, 76% approval. When is a divisive speech? Not a divisive speech. When more than three out of 4 people agree with it. That's not what the mainstream media was seeking, of course. In CNN's analysis, Trump's big night deepens America's bitter internal schisms. And it goes on. I mean, this you just cannot waste time with all of these. And MSNBC is the worst of the worst. And I love this. Divisive, bitter, demeaning, trolling. This is what they're saying about Trump. That's the mainstream media's spin. And not to sound like a Scooby-Doo villain, but they would have gotten away with it too. Except for one stubborn, unfortunate little detail. The American people don't listen to them anymore. The trust is broken. Yeah, if your trust with the legacy media is not broken yet, then I don't think it ever will be. It's really unfortunate. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, can't make it drink. So the evidence is there. It's absolutely obvious. So you'll find that story this morning at PJ Media. They've got some stuff for VIP members. I'm not a VIP member. And I've thought about it. I have been before. This caught my eye. Democrats seem desperate to prove that Republicans are the only adults in the room. This is Matt Margolis. You hear me quote Matt Margolis a lot on the show. I like his insight. And again, I can't access this, but he's absolutely right. Democrats seem to want to prove that Republicans are the only adults in the room. They got their signs out. they're waving their signs last night. I mean, it is just absolutely incredible. And then I got an email from Bill, who sent me an email. Thank you, Bill. And he said the paragraph was sent to me on Telegram. And he said the original link is in the email at the bottom. Let's see the email link. I'm going to post this up. Clearly I can share that. I'm going to share this with you so you can see this, because this is pretty crazy. And I think this is the reaction of a lot of folks. And again, I apologize for the language, but what kind of soulless person does not clap for a kid who's beat brain cancer? I mean, seriously, picture it, a child fighting through hell, chemo ripping their little body apart, doctors saying the odds are slim. Somehow, by grit or grace, they make it. They stand there, a living, breathing miracle, and you got people, grown adults, no less. I might dispute that. Grown adults, no less, who can't muster the decency to put their hands together. That's not just rude. It's a neon sign screaming they've got no heart, no soul, probably no conscience either. These are the same types we've been exposing, the ones who'd rather clap for war profiteers like Zelensky, which they did. They did. Democrats were up clapping for Zelensky last night, but they wouldn't clap for this young boy who's got cancer. Absolutely incredible. So they're the politicians, the elitists, the crooks we've been naming, people like Schumer, Pelosi, or Biden, who will cheer billions for bombs, but sit on their hands when it's time to honor real courage. They won't applaud a survivor. It's because they're too busy counting their kickbacks, too steeped in their own filth to recognize innocence or valor. And this just goes on. And don't give me maybe they didn't hear crap. If you're in a room and a kid's being held for surviving the unsurvivable, and you're not clapping, you're either deaf or a deliberate blank. This isn't about politics or protocol. It's about basic decency, and it goes on. Wake up, folks. If they won't clap for that kid, they sure as hell won't stand for you. Interesting. I don't know where this. Let's take a look. International Community of Natural Sovereigns. We are a free sovereign people. We got over 25,000 subscribers on Telegram. So anyway, that was sent to me by a listener who said, I don't know who actually wrote this, but it's very insightful of the Democratic Party. And Bill said, please feel free to share, which is why I did. So it's pretty incredible. Yeah, Steve. Yeah. All I hear is none of you are serious about saving democracy. Yeah, you guys crack me up. Steve is being facetious here, of course. Melissa talking about that kid. Jeannie is saying, what a sweet kid he was. Absolutely agree, Melissa. He honored that child, brought tears to my eyes. And yes, the liberal side sat in silence, held up mean signs. What did you think of that? Seriously, Democrats holding up their. Is that not like junior high school BS? I mean, that is like being in. And I think I'm giving them credit because honestly, I think more junior high school kids are smarter than that. But that's the way it comes across to me. And Kathy also a little bit in disbelief as to how childish Democrats were during the president's speech last night. John saying the Democrats and their signs looked like they were waiting to play pickleball. Melissa's thinking the same thing. David is saying, I watched it last night. The Dems were so disrespectful all night. A few years ago, the Republicans were pilloried for that one person saying one word too loud. And which I will say, David, you're absolutely right. And I believe we were right to do that. If you have people who are being disrespectful of the president and being disrespectful of the country during a national speech and address like that, we need to speak up. When you see these things, you've got to speak up. You've got to point at that and say, this is wrong. Even if it's, I think, whether it's your side or not, doesn't make a difference. Either you're guided by things that are correct and right and moral, or you're not. And so if something is wrong, it's always wrong. It doesn't mean that you're silent because your side is doing it. So it's like, okay, well, my side is doing this. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. No, you speak up, you say something. I think, and see, that's what's missing. And Washington has none of that. Washington, certainly the Democrat Party has. I don't want to say nobody in Washington does, because there are those that do. But the Democratic Party as a whole just absolutely lacks that. And it is just absolutely incredible. David is saying, I cried several times last night. Hard not to. And that's what I mentioned earlier. Katie was in tears, and Katie is not one to be in tears. Take it from me. She is not one given to that. So when she's in tears, it gets my attention. Denise also, DJ made me cry. And the young man getting into West Point. Yeah, I didn't make a big enough deal about that on the show this morning. And Denise is saying, how could you not respond to that? Justin says there were a lot of great moments last night. Yeah, well, and when you go for an hour, 40 minutes, there's an hour and 40 minutes. That is the longest presidential, address of a joint session and of Congress. It's the longest ever. Donald Trump. Jeannie, the recognition at DJ was so heartfelt. And when he hugged the newly accepted West Point candidate. Yeah. So you had the young man being accepted into West Point, and DJ comes up from behind him, taps him on the shoulder. He turns around, a little bit startled, I think, turns around and gives him a hug. That was very, very cool. How are you not moved by that? I mean, are you soulless? It's just absolutely incredible. Steve's saying, I got about 30 minutes in, it crashed. Yeah, and see, I would have too, which is why I just thought I'm going to bed. I mean, I'm not going to make it. Pretty crazy. Glad I got to see the exit of the dude with the cane. Yeah. And again, Democrats, what is the matter with them? It's just incredible. Tom is saying President Trump showed his soft side in my eyes last night. Dems showed that they are so bitter toward him that they don't think right. And I think that's part of it. Hatred blinds you. And it's one of the reasons why I personally, I feel called to pray for those with whom I disagree and those who show this kind of behavior, rather than having an emotional reaction to this. There's a positive emotional reaction, and then oftentimes, we have this negative kind of angry emotional reaction. And in those times, more and more, I'm trying to pray and saying, because I certainly don't want to be as bitter as the Democrats we watched last night. That's not a road I want to go down. I don't want to be that person who sits there with his, young cancer patient and everybody. I mean, literally, the heart of the nation is with this young man, and Democrats are, what is that? It is just absolutely incredible. So Melissa's saying it may not just be hatred of Trump, but that he represents their loss of power. Yeah, they're not about to get it back either if they keep behaving that way, I think. He also is everything that they are not. He is successful with the people. I agree with that. I appreciate what Kathy's saying. Whenever Democrats are in power, all they complain about is that Republicans won't put aside differences and work with them. So what's their excuse now? They couldn't even stand for DJ. Yeah, it's crazy. And I agree, Jeannie, Democrats are in an echo chamber. It's just, and you're right about James Carville, longtime Dem advisors. There's a piece, by the way, this morning I saw at the New York Post, written by he's a columnist at the Post, and he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat. And he was just shocked by the behavior of Democrats last night. And he was saying, how do you not applaud these things that Trump was, he was really shocked. I would be mortified if I was a Democrat today. Incredible. So, Jeannie, thanks for the comment. Yeah, Denise saying, if after that speech the media doesn't have one good thing to say, they can no longer claim to be to be unbiased. I would agree, but they will. They will. And this is why I think it's up to you to stop watching them. To stop watching them. Don't turn them on. Don't, it's just crazy. Because believe me, I'm proof. You can be well informed and not watch legacy media. You do not need to watch ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News. You do not need to watch them in order to be well informed. Because I don't watch television except for entertainment when I watch something. All of the news I get, I find online. And I'm very selective about where I go. And I think what's happened on X, I've seen a number of news stories here talking about X. And the fact that X now is more and more filling that role for a lot of people in terms of providing news. And stories that the legacy media just absolutely will not touch. You'll read about them on X. They're talking about it there. People are responding, reacting to what's going on there. There's some, I think, incredible reporting that's going on there. I think that's it for most of the comments here today. Yes, I saw this as well. I tried to mention this morning, Steve. The 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court rejected Trump's request to pay that $2 billion that was to in foreign aid. This was some of the cuts that they were doing. So that's a big story today. Likely we may touch on that in more detail tomorrow. We'll see how that fleshes out over the course of the day. Oh, my heavens. I went 30 minutes. I didn't mean to go that long. But you made it to the end of the video. So you're part of my gallery of champions. If you're still here, I appreciate it. If you'll hit the like button before you leave, that I will be deeply indebted to you, my friend. Please come back again tomorrow. I will see you then. You take care. Have a great Wednesday midweek. So we're halfway there, over halfway there. Hang in there. So long. See you tomorrow.